Hey everyone! Happy Wednesday. Hope you had a good day. It was a day. It wasn't bad. It was a day. I got to the office and the first thing I found was that someone absolutely fucking destroyed the commode. It was heinous. What you get when you work in an office. There's always one wild animal in the office that just destroys the bathroom.
Jump complete.
Today we are playing Helldivers because I feel like farming, especially some more metals, but also super credits because why not? Some more Monopoly money ahead of tomorrow's war bond and the patch, which I suspect may include a new progression system because they don't know how to do content. They think the carrot is the content instead of the thing that makes you do the content, but that's the point. But doesn't matter because we're just doing trivials. That's the easiest to farm super credits and medals. I mean, I guess medals are actually easier just doing regular high level missions, but super credits are definitely easiest just doing level 1s. And we're on Vernon Wells because, quite frankly, fuck AT mines. All my homies hate AT mines.
Let them come. Let them brawl. Let them face the insurmountable might of the Helldivers.
I think Vernon Wells is the Trojan Hospital planet. I think. Might be something over there, but probably not. And while we are diving, I figure I would chat a bit about the end in the death or death in the end. I am physically incapable of remembering which is which. What the title of the book is. Horus Heresy book. I am, I think, a little over halfway through volume 2. It's starting to feel like I'm in the filler arc. The dreaded filler arc that inevitably bloats all second arcs stories. Nothing has been bad so far, I'll say that. It's all good. It's just I think it comes with the territory of what it is, the Siege of Terra and the end of the Horus Heresy, that the story inevitably just gets super bloated out of control because there are so many plot threads and character lines going. And I'm at the point where I want Dan Abnett, the author, to just pick a thread and go with it instead of bouncing around between like 15 different characters. And I think I remember some of them, but other ones I just can't remember who they are. Like, I was just listening, because I'm listening to audiobook, I was just listening to Thane and his crew bumbling around this is going to be a spoiler talk because whatever. It's Horus Heresy, everyone knows what happens. The Emperor goes on the Golden Throne and Horus dies. Spoiler. But yeah, I think he's the Emperor's Fist. I don't even know. I don't know who Thane is. I just know he's out with some homies. Some no, they're full-fledged Space Marines, so not even neophytes.
Found some.
Yeah, just new recruits, fresh brothers, who are just now being blooded in the heresy. But I have no goddamn idea who he is. Or anyone in his crew. I was actually misidentifying him as what's his name? Ram. I was misremembering him as Ram for a while, but it turns out Thane is someone different. Go figure.
There's something here.
And again, it's nothing about the Thane stuff is bad. It's just I can't remember who he is because there's so many characters. I think he was from the volume 1. Or it's possible he's just from like an entirely different book in the Horus Heresy series, which I haven't read, but I mean, yeah, I'm also going into the Horus Heresy at the very end, because fuck it. Because I know what happens, so it's not a spoiler. But that wouldn't be an issue, because Dan Abnett is a good enough writer to compensate for people not reading the previous books. The issue is that there's just an overload of characters saturating the narrative. And they're all good, and I wish they had their own books that weren't all jumbled up into one. I will say that it thematically fits with them all being jumbled together with what's happening. Because Terra in the Solar Realm is just collapsing in on itself. And if you played the Dark Souls 3 Ring City DLC with the Dredges of Humanity, it's a lot like that, where everything is just collapsing and merging in on itself and each other. Especially in the halfway point-ish of Volume 2, where the inevitable city starts subverting, subsiding, sub-somethings, the, oh, German. That was a bug quick, but this is a bot mission. I was confused for a second. But the inevitable city, which is effectively, the 5th Chaos God's, personal realm in the Immaterium, from my understanding so far. And the Dark King is Horus. Horus is the new, Horus is the Dark King, and the Dark King is the nascent 5th God of Chaos that's about to be born. I didn't even need to kill that guy. It's never fun. But Horus is becoming the 5th God of Chaos. And his realm within the Immaterium is the Inevitable City. Or is it Eternal City? I think it's the Inevitable City, although, if I remember right, its description in Volume 1 was it's like a figure 8 infinity symbol, if I remember right. I might just be making shit up. I think I'm remembering that from Cinderman and his sidekick Kuzitz in the Emperor's Library, finding a picture of the Inevitable City. And I think it's described as like an infinity symbol. I don't remember though. That was a few weeks ago now.
1 minute, 30 seconds.
Doesn't matter, I'll throw this.
Deploying sentry.
But the Inevitable City is starting to subsume. That's the word I'm looking for. Starting to subsume and replace Holy Terra. And it's also merging with and subsuming Horus's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, at the same time. So it's like very Dark Souls 3-ish, where they're all merging together.
1 minute.
I can actually that box up just a little bit so it's not blocking the HUD all the way. But now the different character threads are entering the Inevitable City and starting to explore it. There's no patrols coming this round, is there? But a bunch of different characters are starting to stumble into the Inevitable City, starting to explore it, and it's pretty cool. It's also neat how the part that I was listening to on my drive home,
ETA T-minus 20 seconds.
it sounds like it turns out that Dorn, who has been in a labyrinth of Red Desert ever since the teleportation assault onto the Vengeful Spirit in Volume 1, it sounds like he's actually been inside the Inevitable City, because they are finding plans written on the walls and stuff. The other characters are not Dorn. And that's what he's been doing for like hundreds of years from his perspective, because chaos, the warp, is a timeless dimension, so it's all fucky. But it's sounding like they're about to stumble across Dorn and possibly help him get out. That's what the Dan Abnett Snowflake Squad is doing, at least. I think they're called the Long Company or something like that. I don't know. I suspect they're from previous entries in the Horus Heresy. No, they definitely are, because John Grammaticus like saved Vulcan's life at some point, even though that kind of a moot point, because he's what's the word for it? Eternal? The people who come back even when you try to kill them in 40k. He has infinite life cheat, basically, Vulcan does, and saving his life is like, thanks, I guess. It's whatever, dude. He's died too many times already. I mean, his introduction in Volume 1 is Vulcan dying, so it's like, whatever. Thanks for saving his life, I guess. What else has happened in Volume 2 so far? Chaos has completely subverted Terra and Palace itself now, because Malkador the Sigilite, who is sitting the Golden Throne while the Big E is away. Malkador is dying, and even though they are trying to hype him up with a chorus of psychers, it's too much for him to control. So Malkador lacks the control over the Golden Throne that the Emperor does, which is allowing the warp to twist and further break Terra. And now are all of these? They're all that mission, which isn't great because they take up one of the spots that could be one of the spots that could give us medals or super credits. And I'm just rocking the ultimate basic Helldiver kit because it does not matter at all when you take on
Orbit synchronized.
skills. Where's my jump pack? There it is. Just taking the mortar and the turrets just to let me AFK while I'm waiting for the shuttle. It's not like you need any stratagems for these, even with the destroyer ones. You can kill destroyers with assault rifle, even though assault rifle is trash. But as I was saying, Malkador is he's like already died a couple of times, I think, in the story, just from being burnt out on the Golden Throne. Then he comes back from. Is that out of bounds? I'm about to be blown up. Good. Malkador has already been kind of revived by Vulcan having to consign a ton of Psychers to death to feed him, which is. I wouldn't count that as foreshadowing because it's like been lore for decades that's how Big E has lived on the Golden Throne, by
There's something here.
having the big suck on Psyker stalls. But it is neat that it echoes what happens in the future. It's actually surprising in the End of the Death or Death and End, whichever it is. I'm going to alternate between both in this stream. It's interesting how Dan Abnett is showing a lot of straight facts on how the Chaos Gods and everything works. It's taking away a lot of the mystery and wiggle room that I think the 40k setting has enjoyed for a long, long time, which is very interesting. I don't know if that was like a writer decision or if it's something Games Workshop told him to do as they're progressing the lore. Which is pretty neat because actually Dan Abnett's writing in the Death and End has confirmed Luton 09, Luton 07, whatever his channel is named. Cool 40k YouTuber with some very good video essays about Chaos Gods, Emperor, and how time works in the Immaterium. And Dan Abnett's writing in The Death and the End has basically confirmed his theory on how the warp is a timeless dimension and everything that goes into that, which I have talked before in other streams. Before one of my earlier world building streams, I just chatted about 40k books for a bit. But also, this is the stuff that inspired my magic systems with the timeless dimension. Door. I have no friends. And blow that up. But that's very cool. It's also very cool how, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, that the warp is subsuming and leaking into the palace itself. So it turns out that the traitor forces didn't even, like, break into the palace. They just wandered in blindly, along with a ton of loyalists, too. Because all the dimensions are completely fucked up now on Terra. So you just like go through one door and you're somewhere completely different. And it's happening to all the characters all the time now. Which is pretty cool. Oh, miss. Wrong side. these guys out.
For prosperity!
There are some stuff. There's some
How
stuff.
about a nice cup of liberty?
I always like ragdolling. Fun fact, if you are diving or prone, you take a lot less damage from explosions. Or at least that's the theory. I think that's actually on a loading screen, so that's probably correct. Where are you? Eh. Out of here. Where am I going next? I am... Is there anything... Doesn't look that way. If I can jump out this way. Ah. Something on the way. What was I talking about? The Emperor's Palace is not even being broken into. It's just... You have some Night Lords, they're the first ones to stumble blindly into the palace, and they just fuck shit up, which is a pretty awesome scene. I think, none of the action is bad, so I don't even want to say this as a criticism. It's just that it's a lot of action all the time, and it's starting to feel like Dan Abnett is leaning on the action to carry the momentum through the second act a little bit hard, instead of having narrative stuff that's interesting happen. The narrative stuff that's interesting is still happening. It's just bogged down. And again, it's well-written action. But I'd really... Oh, okay. It's like I mentioned earlier, where it's like everything is nice so far, but it's starting to feel like the filler arc, where the story is getting loaded with too many character threads at the same time. So even though there's a lot of really good action, it's getting hard to care about it because it's so much action right after each other, without any rest breaks, really. And there's a few rest breaks, but they are getting a little bit few and far between, and the rest breaks that you do get are not with characters you really care about because there's too many as is. Which, I don't even want to say that because I like all the characters. There's no characters in the Death and the End, either volume yet so far. Got some boomer reflexes there on the Hellbomb. There's no characters I dislike so far. Or there's no characters that I dislike as characters. There's characters you're supposed to dislike because they're the villains. But there's no characters that I dislike as I'm getting my mind wrapped up in itself trying to say that right. I like all the characters, even the villains. They're all written really well. I think cannons anymore. Probably nothing up there. Yeah. If I could pick which characters we would just focus on and write out for the rest of it, it would be the Lunar Werewolf, the good one. I forget his name. Loken? I think that's his name. He's pretty cool. Also, Sanguinius is obvious, as is the Emperor. Getting Emperor POV chapters is really cool. I wasn't expecting that. I thought I bounced for a second. I despise how stratagems just bounce everywhere on random surfaces sometimes. But the big E POV chapters are really awesome. I thought I would like Constantine, is that his name? The head honcho of the Custodes. I thought I would like his segments more, but not really. Because they are all action all the time. No rest breaks with him at all. Because his thing is that he's when they do the teleport aboard the vengeful spirit, it's a trap, which everyone knows, and we all knew from decades ago. But his trap for Horus's trap for Constantine is that he's trying to convince him to change, as in change the. Find the yourself up there. A little more of my game. Horus is trying to make Constantine fall to Zinch by making him change instead of being the super programmed Custodes that he is. Fuck my mortar. Heck off. What was I saying? Constantine is trying to be felled to Zinch by making him change, and oddly enough, the way Horus is doing that by making him fight until he's given no option but to die or to change, to grow beyond his programming, basically. Which of the traps makes more sense than the other ones? Sanguinius's trap is trying to make him fall to Nurgle, which has a very threadbare connection to his poison rune from Angron, but I'm not seeing it yet because I haven't seen any real theme of decay with him. Not really. Maybe I missed it, but I haven't seen much theme of decay with Sanguinius. Big E's trap is Slanesh, because Horus just wants, well, mostly he wants to kill his dad, who is Big E, but he also, if he can convince, goddamn Orthgard, if he can convince the Emperor to fall, he wants him to just take a nap with Slanesh and let Horus take over everything, which is also strange. I mean, I guess it's saying that Biggie would take an excessive nap and Slanesh is the chaos god of excess. It's another threadbare connection, but it's more there than Sanguinius and Nurgle. And Dorn, no, Dorn actually has a pretty decent connection. Actually, the strongest with his trap. Dorn's trap I mentioned earlier is that he's in a desert, a blood desert, it turns out. And Horus is trying to corrupt Dorn to fall to Khorne, the blood god, by making Dorn submit and yield to his desire to not have to deal with all the responsibilities, by letting Dorn become mindless and just do war for war's sake instead of war as a philosophical concept that is a endorsement of violence. Is that the right way to say it? Dorn's chapters, once he realizes the trap in Volume 2, get into him reciting a bunch of political military theory on when wars are and are not just, and how not all blood is equal, and spilling blood for itself is never just, or something like that. I forget the exact words. I think I listened to it on the way into work today. Something like that. But that is the gist of Dorn's trap.
Orbit synchronized.
Get my jetpack. A base defense. There we go.
Hellpod launch initiated.
What else happens in Volume 2? Starting in Volume 1, there's this guy called Foe. Oddly named, a little on the nose, but there it is. Foe is a mad genetic scientist who is a war criminal. I think it sounds like he's a character from the Emperor's Thunder Warrior era. Before the Great Crusade, the Emperor was on post-apocalypse Earth with his Thunder Warriors, which were precursors to the Space Marines. And it sounds like Foe is a genetic war criminal from those days on post-apocalypse Earth or something. They say he's a bad man, but they never really say what he does or did. Foe is just kind of in it to survive for himself They do say that he has very different ideas than the Emperor does on how an emperor should, or how an empire should run. Talking about how the Emperor is full of legacy genetic code that should be cast away. And I think in Volume 1, it talks about how Foe would have gotten rid of human emotions and that kind of stuff as being legacy junk. And then that is contrasted by a Sanguinius POV chapter where he confronts the Emperor to be allowed to come along on the Assault on Horus ship. And in that, the Emperor reveals why he never removed emotions, mostly, from Space Marines and his Primarchs. I say mostly because, you know, they will know no fear. Space Marines don't have all their emotions. They're called Space Autists for a reason. The Primarchs definitely have all of them. But more than others, like Angron. To a lesser extent.
There's something here.
We got medals. Requisition. The movie price. I'm trying to remember. I think the gist of it was that the Emperor decided that having emotions is what made us human, and casting them away would leave us as soulless automatons.
Fire in the hole.
So that's why he kept emotions in the genetic code. I'm not sure. That doesn't sound quite right. I think there was more to it. But that was a few weeks ago that I read that chapter. Don't remember. Something like that.
There's something here.
Emotions are what make us human is the gist of it. Which is ironic because that also leads to the thought of to err is to human. And the Emperor does not like admitting he errs or has erred. That's its own thing. It is interesting how much the end and the death humanizes the Emperor. Whereas I've never read the other books in the Horus Heresy series because it's a scary monolith to approach.
There's something here.
But my understanding is that he is very cold and distant and never given much screen time to speak directly. And even this, in the first volume of Death in the End, Big E rarely speaks directly. He usually speaks through his custodies rather than himself. Which Sanguinius, at least, maybe Dorn too, but at least Sanguinius confronts him about at one point. Might actually be when he is begging to be allowed to go confront Horus. Disarmed.
You have accomplished liberty's will.
I'm going to eat grenades because I am lazy. Climb up here. You're not allowed to climb up here.
Get some! Get some!
Put the space out. Whiff.
Last reload.
What was I talking about before that? I had to divert both my brain cells to clearing the space for a second there. Counterclockwise. Something about Sanguinius and Emperor and confrontations or something. I think I got what I wanted to say about that. After the way. I don't have too many brain cells after work. Just roll with what I got. For tomorrow's big update, I am fairly scared of how it's going to go. Because Arrowhead, the devs of this game, do not have the greatest track record with very big updates. Even with small updates, they tend to break their game. I am expecting the game will have very big stability issues through the weekend. At least. I have a lot of concerns too with the huge patch.
You may proceed to extraction when ready.
I'm very hopeful it will all turn out great. Because I would love this game to have a return to grace.
Down sentry.
Pyle is the former CEO, now CCO, and still chairman owner of the company. He remains the only dev worth anything at Arrowhead. Or just employee straight out. Maybe there's some grunt work devs, but... Arrowhead has problems, man. Hopefully he's talked sense to them after coming down to micromanage the hell out of them, I guess. Because it seemed like it was a voluntary self-demotion down to CCO from CEO to unfuck the Helldivers team. Yeah. It's been a rough few months being a Helldiver fan.
Have a taste of democracy.
There's stuff over there. Yeah, there. I think my rocket turret is about to blow me up. Absolutely is. Whoops. I don't want to get too negative. I'm just worried about tomorrow. I won't say too much about my worries about the dev team itself. I think those concerns are widespread enough that everyone's heard everything about what there is to say about the dev team at this point. Except for the Game Master team. Those guys suck and no one's talking about it. And it's not Joel singular. There's at least 2 of them right now. I think there may have always been more than one, but I always address them as a GM team, not just Joel. I am not fans of their work. I forgot to activate the controller because I was talking. I was yapping. Not a fan of the GM's work. I think they have a lot of... Alright, this is just straight conjecture, but my theory is that they hired, like, MMORPG GMs, not, like, actual RPG GMs or anything like that, who are used to handling player agency. That's my theory on why the GM team is not that great here. Anyways, I don't want to go too far into that and get even more negative. I am very hopeful that tomorrow's update and Warbond are going to be great. I want them to be really badly. I think at best they'll be mid, but I can hope. I don't want to go huffing the copium like a lot of people are, but God, I've been tempted to this week because it's been over 2 months since April, early April when the Troubles first started. Over a month since the PSN incident. Out of here. And I can understand them taking a break from updates to get their house in order and figure out, realign what they want to do. Change momentum there. But it took an entire whole damn month off. Game was not in a pretty, has not been in a pretty state since then. I said I didn't want to get too negative. I'll shut up about Helldivers 2 for now. It's just hard not to be with how the past few months has been. Better news about Helldivers 2 is Monday I started Helldivers Quest, which I love what I wrote, hate how that video turned out. Monday, this coming Monday, next week, I'm planning to reread Drop 1 ahead of reading Drop 2, just to redo it. I'm not going to redo the vote, just going to reread it so it's better live, because I had a miserable experience recording, reading it, because I just lacked all the fun and energy that I normally get when I'm reading stuff like Lovecraft or Conan.
Another victory for the right side of history.
Which is partly a skill issue. Partly I was also didn't have Audacity set up right. So I had to crank up the audio like 15, 20 decibels just to get it somewhat decent without spiking the audio too badly. And then even then it was like, I think 5 or 10 decibels quieter than it should have been. But I didn't want to distort the audio completely. So, skill issue combined with tech issue there, which itself was a skill issue, if I'm being honest. My experience, it was a good experience to do because it showed me that I have a way better time doing stuff live than recording. I didn't fully appreciate before that recording is its own related but separate skill to live streaming. So good to know that. And from now on, the Helldiver quest drops will be read live on Monday nights instead of recorded. Because holy shit, recording that and editing, that was a pain in the ass for a 20-minute video. I spent all Sunday on that thing. No, I spent all Monday on it. I was rewriting the drafts for the first drop a lot. I wanted to get that right as the start. I love what I wrote, did not like how I recorded it.
Have this world in an iron grip.
Well, that's how it goes sometimes.
Break their hold. This operation.
I did push it a little to get it started on Monday, because to gamble a little bit on this week going really good for Helldivers, in case it blows up again in popularity, I wanted to go and have the quest out there, just so it's already started before the fact. Which I'm glad I did. Starting a quest on this YouTube channel has been something I've been thinking of doing since I started it. And I had the right amount of inspiration and energy to start one in the time. To start tackling it. It's all an experiment. The Helldivers quest is. I'm planning to at least carry it through one mission arc, which will probably be 4 to 6 drops, so 4 to 6 weeks, I'm guessing. And once that first arc is completed, see how it's going, if there's anything I want to change with the format, or if I need to take a break to analyze what happened, do a post-mortem, and then try it again, either with a different quest or picking up a Helldivers quest again later. Just to figure out how to do it the best way possible. Because I've never seen someone do a quest like this on YouTube. So as far as I know, I'm the first one doing it. Forging new ground, at least to my knowledge. Possible other people have done it before. I'm just not aware of it. I have run quests before on Discord, which is pretty neat. I started that in 20, I think. I want to say August 2020 was when I started running quests on Discord. That sounds right. It's been a good 4 years.
Main objective near your position.
Back off. This would be easier if I had the Scorcher or the Dominator, but it's freaking difficulty 1 man. It don't matter. None of this matters. You can clear a trivial mission with literally any weapon in the game, even heinous stuff like SMGs that are useless, DMRs, or that god-awful plasma weapon from Polar Patriots. That I don't want to say names, but I saw a YouTube video I was talking about how people don't understand that crappy weapon. It's like, bruh, you are playing a different game if you think you need to do crowd control like that. Like, I'm not a really, really good player at this, but it's like, why would you waste time crowd controlling when you can just kill shit in the same amount of time and ammo with a better weapon? You are 4D chessing this when it's a 2D game. Anyways. People being silly. I think it's just the natural copium. People are reaching as they're desperate for anything good because everyone wants to love this game so much. It's just been a hard few months. Map sucks. No buildings, no nothing. It's all these canyons. Or an extract. Better than the ocean rolls, though. Get more buildings than the canyons. I am,
Equipment package.
in the least, I think the War Bond tomorrow, Viper Commanders or whatever it's called, will be pleasantly interesting. Like Portland Patriots.
Sending down sentry.
The shotgun pistol I expect to be at least passingly useful as an alternative to the revolver in missions where you don't need the grenade pistol for utility.
Extraction request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
I think technically the revolver will still be the go-to for higher difficulties when you don't need the grenade pistol, just because it has, I think, medium penetration. But the shotgun pistol will be an interesting alternative to play with.
Sending down sentry.
The throwing knife, I have no idea how that's going to be effective, but I want to see because it looks cool. I don't really see how a single target, maybe it'll be an instant kill, but I think anything it could instant kill could be instant killed better by an impact grenade or just shooting it. I don't know. It's a weird one. I hope to be pleasantly surprised by it because it is a really cool thing though. Other stuff in the War Bond tomorrow. The armors look okay. I don't really get too excited about armors. For different reasons. The camo for vehicles is pretty cool. Starting with Tiger Stripe is strong. That's always a cool camo. Although I will say, well, I don't even want to say it's a complaint. It's just something that's different between Helldivers 1 and 2. Is that 2 has all the different aesthetics for camos and armors and everything. Whereas Helldivers 1 had a very unified aesthetic with the black and yellow gold trims. And all the armors, even when they had different styles, they were all the same color palette. So it was a very unified look. Helldivers 2, you just have whatever the fuck. Which can be fun too. It's just something different. It's not even a real complaint. It's just,
Pelican 1, I have visual on the extraction zone.
if I could choose RP4-1 style of a unified aesthetic, because I'm boring like that. But I can live and do enjoy the different styles that 2 has on offer, because it lets me just switch around to whatever I feel like wearing for Barbie operations that day.
Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
Although I tend to grab the Kazarkin heavy armor for real missions, just because I like the look and bonus of extra stun grenades. God help us if they nerf stun grenades tomorrow. That is going to be a huge upset if they do that, and I'm scared they will. I think it was today that, I forget if it was the CEO or CCO that hinted about what's going to be coming tomorrow with buffs and buffs to stratagems, and very cutely not saying anything else, which leaves open the door for more nerfs. We'll find out. Everyone's been scared they're going to nerf our good stuff again. Well, even if they are buffing other stuff, it's not going to feel good if they nerf other stuff at the same time, because they've been doing that too much already. Because I'm getting negative again. It's just hard not to do, because this game has so many problems with it, even though it has so much potential, which is why people get so invested in it. But the balancing issues in this game boil down to that the devs balance it like a PvP game when it's a PvE game. So they are very tragically
The
misaligned with that.
Helldivers battle for freedom.
And
Let us decide where to enter the fray.
I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna cast some fucking shade at the new CEO. I am not impressed by him. He is out there on Twitter hyping up how game developers are like doctors, analyzing what's really wrong when someone comes in with an ache. And my man,
Engaging orbital thruster.
you guys have been malpracticing the shit out of this game. Let's walk back your doctor comparisons until maybe you've unfucked it. Yeah, I'm just gonna straight up cast shade on that. Not a fan of him so far, but he also hasn't had time to do anything real, so whatever. He's had a few other comments here and there that I disagree with, but he has a CEO position that's managing the company instead of the game, so I'm hoping he's out of the game developer's hair. Pyle, the CCO, at least seems to have his head on straight for what would be good for the game. Now at least, or at least he's been saying the right things. It remains to be seen if he
All the galaxy looks to you
can execute.
for salvation.
We'll find out tomorrow.
Nothing stand in the
I
way of
am
liberty.
hopeful.
Deploying equipment
Expecting the
package.
worst, hoping for the best. Because that's the only attitude we have left for this game right now. I would not be farming super credits and medals if I was not hopeful. So there's that. This is a good map. Not too many canyons. That's hill there. What else? Let's go back to 40k. Let's get away from the negative stuff. I don't want to be too negative here. 40k, the death in the end. Samus has finally showed up. I mentioned when I talked about the book, Volume 1 earlier, that I was very interested to see who Samus turns out to be. It was already kind of shown that he's a demon, but we don't know. I think now that he's from a previous book too, because they talk about how he is the first demon that was encountered, who corrupted the first Space Marine that fell to chaos, who was a son of Horus, Lunar Wolf. I don't remember what they were called at the time. Same Legion, just different names in different time periods. But Samus encounters Logan, whatever his name is, the good Lunar Wolf, the good boy. He's a good boy. He needs head pets. He encounters Logan and chases him around the Vengeful Spirit for a while. And presently, I am in the middle of a chapter with him that I'm gonna have to restart tomorrow because I got distracted by traffic, and before I knew it, random shit was happening. I didn't know how we got there. But he chased Logan around. They had a little cute fight scene that turned to very one-sided because Samus is a goddamn demon, and demons in 40k. Once the way demons work in 40k are weird, not how a lot of people expect or think. Because the solar realm is basically warp space at this point. Samus and all the other demons are way overpowered above what almost anyone else can be. They are toe-to-toe with the Custodes and the best of the Space Marines at this point. We're surpassing them even. Normally in real space, demons have a tenuous foothold and not easily. They can't be easily banished, but
Found something.
best way to
Fire in the
describe
hole.
wasn't anything there to blow open. Normally demons have to be summoned in, and then they have a tenuous foothold in reality because they are unlinear entities from a timeless, physicalist dimension. Maybe not physicalist.
Last reload.
The warp dimension, immaterial. Even Black Library 40k authors have a shaky grasp of how demons work a lot of the time. So 40k game developers don't understand how demons work a lot of the time, because they think you can just kill a demon and it's dead forever, and no, sir, that's not how it works. Demons don't leave a corpse either. They dematerialize and go back to the warp. It's perfectly fine, and they can be sent back to the real space wherever there's a breach or summoning. Point that out because last year I made the mistake of playing Dawn of War 3, where the final boss is a demon, and they smack it around a few times.
There's something here.
They killed it, and that's not how it works. The Eldar in the party should especially know that's not how it works. That game sucked. Dude, there are some revisionists out there trying to say Dawn of War 3 is actually pretty good. They are higher than a giraffe's pussy right now. Dawn of War 3. I forgot this was objective. Dawn of War 3 sucks. That's a horrible game.
Feels good.
Horrible RTS, horrible 40k game.
Helldiver lost. Sending replacement.
That happens sometimes. Horrible RTS, horrible 40k game, horrible Dawn of War game. The only good mission in the entire campaign was, I think, the second to last one where you're having a last stand with the Blood Ravens. That's actually pretty cool. But that's only like 1/3 of the mission because you're constantly switching between factions. Even then, it's held back by the game itself being pretty bad. Eh. Where are you? Here. There we go.
Freedom marches onward. Thanks to you. You may proceed to extraction.
What else does there say about Dawn of War 3? Not much. I think everyone knows that it's a bad game. It's just a few weirdos are apologizing for it for some reason. Funniest thing about Dawn of War 3 is that
You may proceed to extraction.
when you're making the right decision on installing it, you get a pop-up for a survey for the devs, which is a little awkward because I'm pretty sure all those devs got laid off. Which I won't celebrate usually people getting fired. I did it for them, but it's just funny. Is anything this way? Oh.
Tagging
To
map.
extract.
Northwest, 100 meters.
Anything else? Oh yeah, with Samus and Logan right now, Samus rent a hole in the side of the Vengeful Spirit ship and is currently just kind of holding Logan out there in space to make him watch Terra burn. It is pretty cool because that gives us our first direct view of Terra as it is being subsumed by the warp in the inevitable city. Cool stuff. Although,
Deploying equipment.
this is one thing I don't like, and it's not even the story's fault, it's a voice acting issue. I don't like the raspy voice that they're forcing for the demon. It's distracting. I get what they were going for, just
Request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
too much.
Sending down sentry.
Where do I want to put you? Some guys over there. They're over there.
Deploying sentry.
Oh, it doesn't super matter.
ETA T-minus
Not
1
blow me
minute,
up.
30 seconds.
One thing that's, I won't call it a negative, it's just a little clumsy. How in the Death and the End, there's some points where a character will look to the camera and say, "This is how Purity Souls started." Some awkward stuff like that. That's a little bit too on the nose with how we got to 40k in the Horus Heresy.
Say hello to democracy!
That comes from a character who is tied to how a religion started in 40k with the worship of the Emperor. I can't remember her name because there's too many characters. She actually just encountered Sigismund, the champion of the Emperor, and I think first chapter master of the Black Templars. That's cool.
Taste of democracy!
His appearance is pretty cool. I would have liked it to be his own book in the Siege of Terra, because it's kind of hard to get invested into him as a character and his sudden cameo, if it is a cameo, not something that's going to be continued, because there are so many characters. And it's like, let's pick one. Let's just go. I can understand why there are so many characters, because if it was just the main story of Emperor Horus and Sanguinius, the book would be one book, not 3 volumes, and it would be like 5 chapters. Because there's not a lot to that. Though, I can see why Abnett has shoehorned so much into it. Because there's a lot of screen time to fill. I think it would have been better off as just one book instead of a 3-parter. And then split off all these other characters as their own stuff. Because a lot of it is extremely tangential, even though it's all interconnected. I think it would have been better served as their own books that remain tangentially connected with the occasional cameo, but just let it be its own thing. Especially the Snowflake Squad. I think the beginning of religion and their pilgrimage and encountering Sigismund, I think that all of that could have been its own book too, cut off. Oh yeah, there's also smarter. Can't remember their name. There's an auxiliary, major, marshal, whatever, that's leading a penal unit. That I don't understand the point of them either. I don't know where they're going, what they're going to do. They've just been kind of moping around since Volume 1. I don't understand the point of them in the overarching narrative. They seem like the most filler of all the character arcs, and wow, rude. Only lost one person there.
The struggle to manage democracy continues.
They definitely, if not just completely dropped, put into their own book. I don't know if they're even going anywhere with it. Because they're also one of the rarer side stories to come up, and it never seems to contribute anything beyond some kind of context for what's happening on the ground, which we get too much of anyways with the fragment chapters. And the fragment chapters are good, but
Orbit synchronized.
halfway through Volume 1 with the fragment chapters, I started to wish they were... I get what he was going for. We're showing scattered action segments of Terra breaking down, literally, as dimensions and times are breaking. But with how much filler it feels like there is already, the fragments really feel like filler. And I want to sink my teeth into a continuous story at this point, because we're halfway through Volume 2. And there's an entire 3rd volume after this. And I don't know how he's going to fill up the pages for Volume 3 if it's as long as the first 2. Because Sanguinius is about to encounter Horus. He's there. Emperor is about to encounter Horus. He's there. Almost there. He's right behind Sanguinius. That's what happens. But it's coming down to the wire, and I don't know how he's going to fill out the 3rd volume. I'm a little worried that Volume 3 of The Death and the End is going to have way more filler than 2. Get even more bloated. But I'm not there yet. I think I still have like 8-ish, 9-ish hours Volume 2. And even that, I have no idea he was going to fill out the rest of Volume 2 unless he just jumps to killing Horus, and then Volume 3 is the aftermath. Which is possible. I don't think that's going to happen, but I suspect the Sanguinius and Emperor plotline is just going to get dropped for the rest of Volume 2 because there's nowhere else for them to go without ending the story. That's the thing. It's all good. It's all written really well. It's just bloated. Bloated in the best way possible. It's bloated with characters I like and stories I like and I want to see more of, just not all at the same time. Especially Ram. Ram, the Emperor's Fist dude, he gets so much screen time, and now he's just kind of cast aside. Which, yeah, his story isn't important in the grand scheme of things, but then why'd you give him so much screen time? I'm guessing maybe he's another character from a previous book, which is a trend in my noticings, but in that case, why don't you just give him another book? Or an omnibus of short stories of the Siege of Terra. That would have been great. That way you could have focused in on stuff, drilled in, get it done, instead of constantly flitting around and making me not be able to remember character names, who characters are. Another example is Sartak, something like that, a space wolf, and Osu, or something like that, some French name. That is an Emperor's Fist. They have a couple of great chapters where the space wolf is a complete dickbag. Then you grow to like him because he's an awesome dude. But then they get relegated to the fragment chapters, and it's like, okay,
Here.
am I supposed to care or not? Because we're just flying by them. And they're great characters, really well written. Their foray into the darkness beyond one of the gates inside the palace, that was super good. But then the next time you see them, it's in a fragments chapter, and it's just, let me focus, let me care. It's all great. I like it. I need time to digest it. I need this page real estate to digest it and appreciate it. And honestly, I have to wonder if it's not a publisher issue with GW, where they gave Dan Abnett like a checklist of crap he has to include. And that's how he got around it, by doing the fragment chapters, just to blitz through it all. Which would be pretty funny. I don't really think that's the case. It's just, sometimes it feels like that. A little bit of good old-fashioned malicious compliance. Something else. Okay. The objective. I reject your tremors. I accept your tremors. This is an easier base.
How about a nice cup of liberty? Bag's empty.
It's fine. You stomp angrily over there. I see you past the fence. Again, this would be a lot easier if I had the Scorch or Dominator, but it don't matter. It's a trivial. No, a die don't matter. I'm not here for the samples. Here for the medals and super credits.
Prosperity.
Eh. Rude.
Helldiver lost.
Yeah.
Sending replacement.
That happens.
Request approved. Deploying reinforcements.
Oh. Nope, I thought I was up there behind him. I'm not. I am. Flipped inside. There we go.
Another step towards galactic liberation. You may extract when ready.
Ugh, some casual base clearing. Oh, okay. Don't even need to pop those, it's just fun blowing stuff up. Oh, no, no. That was a classic blunder.
Stabs!
I forgot to pick up my jump pack. That's fine. Need to hear.
Sending down equipment package.
Anything else about the end and the death? I think I kind of covered it all. That I can remember. Ooh, Sanguinius has been talking to Ferrus Manus, which is pretty cool. The ghost of Ferrus Manus. That is another cool reveal of how the warp works, where no matter what, no matter if you voluntarily or not, when you die, you just get screwed over by chaos. It's pretty neat. Because all of the dead Primarchs are there, and they're all just suffering together for eternity, having their souls ripped apart, because that's what happens, it turns out.
Sending down
They
sentry.
kill each other there, but whatever.
ETA, T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Obvious thing to shoot there. But I still suspect that it's not necessarily Ferrus Manus, but an aspect of Horus. Because, Ferrus's voice gets more and more distant,
ETA, T-minus 1
which I suspect means that it's actually Horus. But it's hard to tell. It could just be Manus. And that is a Primarch I don't know a lot about. Same with the Iron Hands. I think he's the Primarch of the Iron Hands. That's one of the chapters of Primarchs that hard to care about because they're just kind of whatever in the lore. Not that interesting. Like, the Iron Hands are so uninteresting that their motto, "The flesh is weak," is itself a misunderstanding of a quote. I don't even think it was something Ferrus said, if I remember right. It was something else, like I misattributed to him in the lore. Or not even in the lore, by fans. I could be wrong on that. I probably am wrong on that.
T-minus 10 seconds. Clear landing zone.
But what is interesting about that scene where they encounter the howling souls of all the dead brothers, including the ones that became demon princes, is that it means that their souls are not necessarily the demon princes anymore. That the demon princes that are what the bad Primarchs became, they are unique and separate from, or discrete might be the better word, discrete from their souls, it turns out. Because while those demon princes are running around with their bodies, now their souls are just wasting away and being tormented by chaos forever. And the reason chaos is doing that is because chaos is the warp, and the warp is the warp because of the war in heaven, which blasted the Immaterium into the warp, which is why it's so tumultuous. And my fan theory on that is that that implies that at least some of the chaos gods before Slaanesh, because Slaanesh is definitely summoned by Eldar or Delry or whatever they want to call them this day of the week. Besides Slaanesh, that probably at least one of the chaos gods are aspects of the, what are they called? Are they called the Slan? Or Slan's the servant? I can never remember. The old ones, the precursors that fought the Necrons in the War in Heaven, made the Orcs and the Eldars to fight the Necrons.
Mission accomplished, Helldiver.
Strike
One
there.
small step for democracy.
Shut up. Shitmaster. Talkie. My theory is that some of the other three Chaos Gods, if not all three of them, are actually aspects of the old ones. The precursor species that created the Orcs and the Eldar to fight the Necrons. Because the War in Heaven was what made the warp so shitty. It was a direct result of the old ones and their death and such. But I'm gonna call it there. It's been an hour. Time for me to go to bed to go to work tomorrow. Tomorrow is wildcard day, which going forward means either finishing reading what I started on Tuesday or playing more video or doing some world building, because now Monday is taken over by Helldiver Quest. But tomorrow, because it's Warbond and patch day for Helldivers, unless the game is completely broken and I'm actually unplayable by stability issues, I'm thinking tomorrow we'll do some missions in Helldivers, real missions, hopefully. Not just running around picking up medals and super credits. You can see, because I think I showed this screen in the beginning. You can see how fast you get super credits. You can get 1,000 real fast just from running trivials. Medals are a little more tiresome to get. I think you get more medals just from doing real missions and higher levels. But anyways, hope you all have a fantastic Thursday. See you tomorrow night. Take care.